Well, good morning and good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to this IBC Advanced Alloys webcast and conference call on the company's financial results for the quarter ended September 30th, 2022. I'm Jim Sims, Director of Investor and Public Relations with IBC. But before we begin our webcast, just a few reminders. The slides from today's presentation and the audio of this call are being broadcast live over the web. A recording of the broadcast will be made and a replay will be available on the IBC website later today. After our formal presentation, the company will take questions from webcast participants. Now, during today's presentation, we will be making forward-looking statements, and viewers are cautioned not to place undue reliance on such forward-looking information and statements. Additional information identifying risks and uncertainties is contained in our public filings available on sedar.com and on our company website at ibcadvancedalloys.com. Joining us today is Mark Smith, CEO and Chairman of the Board of IBC. Mark, thank you for joining us. Please proceed.
Thanks, Jim, and welcome everybody. For those of you who are new to the IBC story, we manufacture copper and beryllium aluminum alloys for customers in the commercial and defense sectors. These include companies in semiconductor manufacturing, aerospace, automotive, marine defense, electronics, industrial equipment, oil and gas, and others. With 80 employees, we are headquartered in Franklin, Indiana, but we do operate two plants, the one in Indiana and one in Massachusetts. In addition to the casting, forging, heat treating, and fabrication of many different copper and beryllium alloys, we also provide customers with a full range of tolling and engineering consulting services. IBC has two operating divisions. The Engineered Materials business produces high-performance beryllium aluminum alloys for both defense and commercial customers. Our Copper Alloys division makes a wide range of specialty copper alloys, also for both defense and commercial companies. The revenue split between the two divisions is shown here, with copper leading the way at 56% of total revenue and engineered materials comprising 44%. That's based on the last 12 months as of the quarter ended September 30. On the occasion of the completion of our Copper Alloys new vertically integrated foundry in Franklin, Indiana, and the excellent results that we're starting to see from that investment, I asked that we do an updated video on the copper side of our business. Jim, let's play that now, and I hope everybody enjoys this.
As the world transitions to a cleaner energy future, demand for copper is growing rapidly. One major driver: electric vehicles. The average gasoline-powered car requires 45 pounds of copper. The average electric vehicle, 175 pounds of copper. America's economy, our clean energy future, and our national security all depend heavily on mission-critical copper and copper alloys. Can the U.S. meet this challenge? One U.S.-based company, IBC Advanced Alloys, is stepping up in a big way. In the heartland of America, IBC produces copper and copper alloy products for everything from U.S. Navy attack submarines, to cars and trucks, to rapidly growing 5G communications networks. Our skilled craftsmen in Indiana cast, forge, and machine metals into more than 24 copper and copper alloy products. These include pure copper, aluminum bronzes, copper chrome silicon, beryllium coppers, and a variety of casting or master alloy products. IBC recently completed a multi-million-dollar effort to expand and vertically integrate its copper alloy foundry in Franklin, Indiana. IBC is now one of the largest domestic manufacturers dedicated solely to the production of a broad array of copper and specialty copper alloy products.
Well, the best thing is we're vertically integrated. Previously, we would be making billets in Missouri, making billets in Pennsylvania. We ship raw material to both facilities. They make the product, we ship it back. We have shipping costs, we have delays. Since we're vertically integrated, we can make a billet, weigh it, have it out here for the scale. The next day, it's already processing, and we can shorten the lead time on customer orders considerably.
Demand for IBC's copper alloy products continues to rise. One rapidly growing customer is the electronics industry, particularly in 5G networking.
What 5G means to us is the fact that as the Internet of Things continue to grow, chips are in everything that touches our lives today. And it's not just industry, it's commercial, but the demand continues to grow. We see that probably most effectively in the automotive industry. We're manufacturing components from our alloys that these chip manufacturers need in their process. So that continues to be tremendous growth potential for us, are the products that we manufacture.
In addition to hundreds of customers across many commercial industries, IBC also supplies mission-critical copper alloys for many defense applications.
We currently do, and we'll do more for the defense industry, primarily naval defense. And our products are above the ocean, below the ocean, and our employees are very proud to say that we're producing products that defend this nation.
Beryllium copper alloy products are a specialty at IBC. This unique alloy delivers a powerful combination of strength, corrosion resistance, electrical and thermal conductivity, and machinability.
So this is a 172 beryllium copper billet. The team and I just actually made this the other day. It takes a lot of work, a lot of know-how, and a lot of knowledge to get to this point, from the materials that we start with through the whole process to standing next to a billet as pretty as this.
At IBC, we partner with customers throughout the design and engineering stages of a project. Our highly experienced metallurgical experts can help you find the right material solution for your project or application. All of IBC's mission-critical alloy products are proudly made right here in the USA. Find out how IBC can help your company. Visit us at ibcadvancedalloys.com or call our helpful staff at 317-738-2558.
That was terrific. Thank you, Jim, for that. I hope everybody enjoyed that as much as I do, and certainly as much as our employees do. A lot of pride in what goes on out at Franklin and Wilmington. So let's move on and let's start discussing the financial results for the year end June 2022. We released our fiscal year 2022 results on Tuesday of this week. In short, it was a challenging quarter, needless to say, for our engineered materials division, which I'll get into in a bit. On the other hand, the copper alloys division is continuing on a growth trajectory since completing the consolidation and modernization of our Indiana foundry. Copper alloy sales improved in the quarter by 25.1% year over year and were higher by 21.6% sequentially. This was copper's fourth consecutive quarter of higher sales. And not surprisingly to me, most of those gains were driven by demand and availability of internally produced alloys from our new vertically integrated foundry. On a consolidated basis, IBC sales declined 6.4%, driven largely by cyclically lower demand for the engineered materials division, beryllium aluminum products used to manufacture semiconductor chips. Gross profit and gross margins in the quarter improved in the copper alloys division over the prior year period, but declined in the engineered materials division, again, due to lower sales to commercial markets and lower yields. You can see the impact of the quarter on the engineered materials division's financial performance here. The biggest driver of this decline, as I mentioned, was a sharp drop-off in orders from the semiconductor chip manufacturing sector, While the prospects for long-term growth in this sector are very good, given the ever-increasing demand for computer chips and the Internet of Things, IBC has been subject to relatively wide swings in demand from our customers. This is often challenging to manage. As I noted in our last call, we also experienced some difficulty in our yields over the past 2 quarters at Engineered Materials. That impacted profitability. I'm happy to report that it appears that the team has largely resolved these issues, as I'm seeing yields returning into current quarter to more satisfactory levels. We're not exactly where we want to be yet, but the progress has been tremendous. That said, I'm pleased to report that we are pursuing a number of exciting new sales opportunities for beryllium aluminum products in the defense sector, and I look forward to seeing more of those efforts begin to reach fruition in 2023. Our Copper Alloys division is really starting to hit its stride now that the facility consolidation and expansion program is complete. Demand across our copper alloy product suite is strong and growing. As you may have seen us announce a few weeks ago, we recently secured a purchase order worth $2.9 million to supply specialized copper alloy forged components to a customer working as part of a classified U.S. Department of Defense program. I would love to provide more color on this, but as is often the case for our work in these DoD programs, we're highly constrained in what we can publicly disclose. Cost of goods for copper have increased, not surprisingly, with the inflation we're seeing across the economy, and that is the same for the Engineered Materials division, but I very much like the upward trajectory that copper is now on, and we expect big things from this division in the coming quarters. Looking ahead, we continue to make very good progress on our 3 primary strategic growth initiatives at IBC. Number 1, as I noted, we have successfully completed the facility consolidation and expansion of our integrated copper alloys facility in Indiana. Number 2, our goal of increasing efficiencies, reducing OPEX, and expanding gross margins on a consolidated basis are all moving in the right direction, especially with the recent improvements at EMC on the yield. Finally, we're in development of several new products in both our copper alloys and engineered materials, particularly the latter. Finally, let me reiterate a few of the longer-term macro growth trends that we see continuing to drive demand for our products. For both copper alloys and engineered materials, the global expansion of 5G networks and the Internet of Things is increasing demand for materials across all of our product lines. Growth in the electronics sector is also driving greater demand for both copper and beryllium alloy products. Defense systems are continually looking for lighter weight, high modulus materials for long-range optical sensors. That is certainly our manufacturing specialty at IBC. As markets for electric vehicles expand around the world, we expect to see much more intensive use of copper. That is also bullish for IBC. And the growing use of microsatellites and other space applications presents large opportunities for our engineered materials division. Now with that, I'm happy to take questions from our audience.
Thanks, Mark. Let's take some questions for the audience. For those of you who are watching us online in your meeting chat tool, you can send me a message. Alternately, you can send me a message via email at jim.sims@ibcadvancedalloys.com, or feel free to text me at 303-503-6203. Mark, we have a couple of questions that have just come in. One asks, can you provide some additional color on the new sales opportunities that you mentioned in the engineered materials division?
Absolutely, and really happy to do that because they're pretty exciting overall. The group is pretty motivated on these new sales opportunities right now. But we're working to develop several prototypes and to expand our current business in several areas for castable beryllium aluminum alloy components. As an example, we're expanding our business with Lockheed Martin Missile Defense on their Sniper and Apache programs. Those systems use cast beryllium aluminum components to reduce weight and increase the sensitivity and accuracy of the electro-optics of those systems. This is a similar application to what we now make for Lockheed's F-35 EOTS system. In addition, prototype components for a specialized electric motor that has applications in aerospace and electric vehicles are being worked on. In addition, beryllium aluminum components to be used next generation DNA and histology test equipment. In addition, several space-related programs that are very exciting with a lot of potential upside, but these are things we simply can't talk about. Frustrating for us as well as you, I'm sure, but we are investing a good bit of time and resources into those efforts. And I'm pretty optimistic at this point of seeing this part of the business grow, hopefully as early as next year.
Okay, thanks, Mark. We had a couple questions right along that line. Here's another. Material costs as a percent of revenue was 94% this quarter for EMC. For context purposes, what would you expect material costs to be under a normalized yield?
You know, it's a very astute question, and somebody knows how to read financial statements very well. And that high material cost is a very unfortunate bad indicator of yield in the EMC division. So the good news is that we do have those yields back up in the 70+% range. We'd like to see them go at 80% or higher, so we haven't stopped our efforts, but we are back in the 70% or higher range. When we reach those types of levels, we should have material costs more in the 20 to 30% range, which would be a much better situation in terms of gross margin and profitability for EMC.
Okay. And here's a follow-on question from this investor. On the quarter end call for December 2020, you laid out some financial targets, 50% higher sales and 718% increase in EBIT over 5 years. Given that you're nearly halfway through the 5-year period, can you provide some updated thoughts on your long-term targets?
Yeah, let me first say that our long-term targets have really, and our goals and aspirations for those have not changed at all. We definitely hit a low spot, particularly in EMC, with the low yield and high material costs, kind of the end of the fiscal year of 2022 and the first quarter of 2023. But we see that turning around as we speak. And I'm anxious to see how the quarter ends for EMC. So none of our goals or aspirations have changed. We simply have to work harder. We have to make up for lost ground. And we have to make sure that all of our processes and procedures are being checked with feet on the ground in the manufacturing areas, and that the written procedures that we establish for all of these processes are adhered to very strictly. I feel very positive about what EMC is doing to turn around, and I think we'll see that with the next quarterly report. And obviously, we're thrilled to death with copper right now. Copper has taken a little longer to ramp up than what we would have liked to have seen, but they are ramping up. And it's really exciting to see the level of activity in that shop literally every day right now. They are making products and shipping products literally every day, and that's a change, and it creates a very high morale in that part of our company. So very, very positive, very, very happy to see all that.
Okay, here's a question. Can you provide more detail on the lower EMC revenue? Kind of have addressed that. What was the magnitude of the decline, was the magnitude of the decline expected? And how much visibility do you have on your Q2 revenue?
Yeah, the magnitude of the change was, one particular customer went from somewhere around 2,500 parts per month down to about 300 parts per month. So that was obviously a very significant change for us. We are working with that customer, talking to them every week, like we did in the heyday with them as well. But that was, a magnitude of business that we had also never seen before when we were making over 2,500 parts a month. So that was certainly a massive scale for that production. But as I mentioned, we're continuing to work with that customer, and they are seeing their business start to turn around, and we anticipate the order level from that customer to increase as early as March or April of 2023. And what that means for us is that we need to start to ramp up that manufacturing process earlier than that. And so that's why we're in conversations with our customer, literally every week to make sure that we have the production capabilities ready when they need them. And there is no reason why they will not be needed. The chip industry, as we've noted in just about everywhere in our presentations, is continuing to grow. There was a slowdown largely due to the consumer electronics businesses, which has a lot to do with inflation and the discussion of recession and whatnot. But we're seeing a lot of that start to stabilize and start to come back. So we anticipate the second quarter will be much better than the first quarter. And I obviously can't talk about the actual revenues that we anticipate in the second quarter, but they will be significantly better than what we saw in the first quarter.
Okay, Mark, we've got 6 minutes left. Here's a question. Can you talk about what options are available over the next 12 months to meet working capital requirements?
Yeah, we've set up multiple lines of credit with inventory, equipment, and factoring companies, which seem to be meeting the needs that we have right now. A lot of this is the process of working out of that working capital problem. And so we're very carefully trying to manage those lines of credit with our raw material needs so that we can produce more and more, especially out of the copper division right now. And as we get those production levels higher, we'll have more inventory, we'll have more accounts receivable, and there's more credit available for us. So it's a little bit of working out of the problem. And I think we have the capability, and we certainly have the people to make that happen. The copper division sales and manufacturing are second to none, in my opinion. And again, that upward trend that we're seeing suggests that working out of that issue is probably one of the best ways to resolve it.
Okay, any activity on the scandium opportunity since the last call?
There really has not been a lot of activity in that area. There's a couple of phone calls that occurred, and that's largely being driven by the need for EMC to get their house in order. I would certainly prioritize that, getting the yields, getting the orders back up, and finding that new business that we need to support the business. And I think EMC did a fantastic job on that. And as noted just a moment ago, we hope to see the very positive results from that coming as part of the second quarter and certainly part of the third quarter. So high hopes for EMC, and I want them to focus on getting their house in order. Then we can get back to working on scandium aluminum.
Does IBC use any niobium in copper alloys?
It does not use any niobium in the alloys, but that would certainly be an area that would be a welcome addition, especially once another company that I work for starts to produce niobium. So those would be some great synergies that would be good for all of us as investors and shareholders.
Well, that's funny because the next question is, can you comment on any synergies between IBC and NioCorp developments?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of potential synergies there, and there's always timing issues with any discussions like that. But right now we want to stay very focused at IBC on growing that copper division to what it's always had the potential to do, but never had the capital or the equipment to do. And we have some more capital that we need to put into that business too, because as we produce more and more of our own feedstock materials or billet materials on site, that requires more and more machines to process that material and to keep up the very steady and increasing orders that we're seeing come out. So we want to really make sure that we get copper up and running to the full potential that it has. We want to continue to get EMC on the right path, which I think we are. And then you can just imagine what the synergies are at that point when EMC and copper are running at full steam, and then we have the potential to supply additional truly raw materials to IBC through a company like NioCorp that has multiple critical and strategic minerals. I don't think it takes a lot to realize that there could be some tremendous synergies available there. But we've got to get everything in order. We need to increase the value of IBC significantly. It's very frustrating for me to continue to watch our market cap be lower than our backlog. So these are things that we have to demonstrate to the market that we can perform, we can execute the way we say we're going to execute, and then we'll see the good things come. So lots of synergies, lots of apparent synergies, and they can all be worked on at the right time.
Okay, thanks, Mark. That exhausts the questions, and that'll end our program today. Thank you all for joining us. If you did not get a chance to ask a question, please feel free to send that to me via jim.sims, S-I-M-S, at ibcadvancedalloys.com. I'll be happy to get back to you and help you with that. Thank you all again for joining. A replay of this broadcast will be made available in a few hours on IBC's website. We hope you have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.